guys, I just wanted to come on here and talk about one of the positives of being at home and being in this lockdown during this coronavirus. And it's a positive of life in general, I guess, and that is home cooking and enjoying home cooking. Because for a lot of us, and I know for a lot of the people that I work with, a lot of the clients that I work with, one of the things that draws us back from home cooking is having the time, knowing what to do, knowing where to begin, lack of confidence in the kitchen. So many things like that can actually have an impact and stop us from cooking at home. And while we're at home, we don't have any other excuses, so we can get cooking. Now, I know that one of the biggest things and one of the biggest problems at the moment is the lack of some foods in our supermarkets at the moment, and please, we don't need to panic buy, we don't need to overbuy. If everybody just buys what they need to, then we'll be perfectly fine. But I know for a lot of us, we're actually struggling to get the foods that we would normally go for and normally buy. So this is a perfect time to get creative, get excited, and start getting inventive in the kitchen, building up your skills, building up your confidence, so that when we are able to go back to our jobs and back to our lives, then we have that place where we know we can start, and that confidence as well to get us going. So I just wanted to share a few tips on how you can get creative in the kitchen, how you can get started cooking from scratch, but also with limited ingredients. The first tip is use tinned foods. Now, I know for a lot of us, tinned foods are not on the shelves. I know in my local supermarket, we're really running low on tinned foods as well. But actually, tinned foods can provide so many nutrients, just like the fresh foods. And sometimes they can provide more, just like frozen foods. So it's not always having to choose fresh produce if it's not there and if it's not available. Things like canned chickpeas, canned beans, canned lentils, those sort of things are great protein sources. So if you can't afford a lot of meat, if there's no meat in your supermarkets and you're struggling to find a protein source, then things like tinned lentils, beans, pulses, those things are amazing. They're not going to go off. Doesn't mean you can stockpile them, but they're really great things to have in your pantry that you can just add to a dish. Also things like tinned tomatoes. If you just have a few tinned tomatoes, you've got a sauce ready to go. Most of the time, you can just add what you want into that sauce. Super simple, super easy. So look out for these tins. Look out for tinned protein sauces like the lentils, but look out for tinned tomatoes, tomato puree as well. All of those things are great. Another great source of nutrients is frozen foods as well. So frozen vegetables, frozen fruits, a lot of those are actually packaged really fresh. So sometimes you actually might get more benefit from them than the fresh produce itself. So if you are running out or if you can't find any fresh produce in your supermarket, then go for the frozen foods, go for the frozen vegetables, frozen fruits. You can still use them exactly the same way you would fresh produce, and you're still getting all the vitamins, nutrients, all the benefits that you would from the fresh fruit as well. The next tip is about your base. So what I mean by your base is things like your pasta, your rice, your carbohydrate, the base for your meal. Now, I know in the supermarkets we've not lost, but there isn't a lot of rice out there, there isn't a lot of pasta out there, but those aren't the only two sources of base or carbohydrate for your meal. Things like oats. Oats are great. You can have them in the mornings. You can have them for lunch. You can make overnight oats. You can make snacks with oats. Things like quinoa. Quinoa is a great substitute for rice as well. You've got in the free-from section, there's always free-from pastas that are made with things like chickpea flour, so it's another added source of protein. So there are so many options for your base. You don't need to just stockpile up on the rice. And also potatoes, sweet potatoes. There are so many sweet potatoes on the shelves, but not normal potatoes. So get creative with your base. Try not to overbuy, because when we overbuy, it means that there's not enough left for other people, but also you've got too much food to use up, and some of it's probably going to go off. So have a look what's in your cupboards. Go get creative. If you're not used to cooking, if you're not a fan of cooking, that doesn't matter. That's the best place to start. So go through your pantry, go through your cupboards, have a sort out, look at what's going to go off, look at what you've not used. Get inventive, get confident, use that ingredient that you bought ages ago but you haven't got around to using or cooking with. Use that up. Go through your pantry, go through your cupboards before you go out and buy. You don't have to leave the house to go and buy foods if you've got a pantry stocked full. So go to the back and see what's in the back and bring it forwards a little bit. Go through your fridge, check what fresh produce is going to go out of date and just whack it in a pan, make a soup out of it. You can put it with a can of tinned tomatoes and make some kind of pasta sauce, or you can blitz it all together, make a nice pureed soup. You can make a chunky soup, you can make a little ragu, you can make a ratatouille. There's so much that you can make from the fresh produce in your fridge, so make sure that none of that is going to go off. So if you're not used to cooking, go through your recipe books. I've got recipe books on my website as well, really super healthy, simple ones. You don't need loads of fancy ingredients, because I don't believe that in you having to buy loads of ingredients to make healthy, yummy foods. But go through your own recipe books, go through, see what recipes you fancy making, what you wanted to make but you didn't have time to before because you were working. You know, what can you get the whole family involved with? There's so much that you can make and that you can do, and the whole family can enjoy it, you can enjoy it, and because you're not pressurized for time, you're going to enjoy it so much more, and this is the time to build up those cooking skills. What tends to happen is when we go supermarket shopping and we're in the supermarkets, we tend to go for the same things over and over again. If you get online deliveries, you tend to get the same things over and over again. The thing about going to an empty supermarket is you're having to get creative. So again, creative is a big one here, but you're having to get creative. So look around the supermarket shelves. What's left? What can you try and use? You know, can you go on Google and find a recipe with that ingredient? You know, if there's only fennel and leeks left, what can you make with fennel and leeks? You know, if there's only turkey mince left and you don't normally use turkey mince, well, make something exciting with the turkey mince. You know, tofu, there was so much tofu left. There are so many delicious recipes that you can make with tofu. So try and just get creative with the ingredients that are actually left in the supermarkets, rather than panicking that the ones you normally get aren't there. And finally, when it comes to creating a meal out of the ingredients you've got, whether it's sparse ingredients, whether you don't have the ingredients that you need to make the recipes you normally would, here's how you make a really simple meal from what you find in your house. First of all, you need a base, so a carbohydrate base. So whether that's potato, rice, pasta, you know, any form of spaghetti or rice noodle, or the konjac noodles, things like quinoa, even oats. You know, you can make savory oats. So just find some sort of base and cook that up. Then for the main dish, if you've got a can of tinned tomatoes, pop that in a pan. Find some sort of protein, pop that in a pan, whether that's the tinned lentils, whether it's fresh lentils, or chickpeas, or some form of meat, or some like other vegetarian or vegan source like tofu. Add that to your meal. Then go through the veggies. Have a look what veggies you've got in your house. Again, you can use canned vegetables, you can use frozen vegetables, just add veggies in. And then you want to check for spices. So if you've got an array of spices in your house, which is one tip that I always recommend, just get creative, add those spices in. That's what's going to give you the flavor, and that's what's going to make the meal really delicious. So you don't even need to follow a recipe. And most of the time, guys, I don't follow a recipe. You know, my sister's staying with me and she can vouch for that. I just go through my pantry, see what's left. So I hope that these tips help you when it comes to getting creative and cooking in the kitchen, especially if there are sparse ingredients out there at the moment. If you do cook and you don't normally, then just enjoy it. You know, get the whole family involved, like I said, and let me know what you get up to. This is a time to enjoy being together as a family, and this is something positive that can come out from being locked down at home. And I think right now we need to focus on all the positives that we possibly can.